I am John Kaiser in Vancouver at the Metals Investor Forum on Saturday, January 20th, talking to Dave Moore, CEO of Serengeti Resources. Dave, welcome to Vancouver.
Well, thank you, John, and thank you for this opportunity.
Now, your project, Dave, is the Kwanika project, a copper-gold project in central British Columbia. And you have very recently received $7 million from POSCO Daewoo to go towards a pre-feasibility study on this deposit. You published a PEA earlier in 2017. POSCO Daewoo came on board early 2016. And the decision to go all the way to a 35% interest was conditional on this extra little bit of drilling being done and a new updated PEA being done. Yes. The PEA was not a, slam the ball out of the park and develop it right away. Yet POSCO Daewoo thought about it for quite a while and decided to go ahead. Are they just treating this as an optionality play, that gold's maybe going to go to $2,000 and copper to $4, and then your PEA is way in the money? Or is there something else they're counting on you to deliver as you execute the work for this pre-feasibility study?
Right. Well, that's a good question. It's a combination, I think, of a number of factors. Certainly there's the optionality play of the commodity prices have moved well above our PEA base case pricing. I think what really interests POSCO Daewoo, though, is that this is not a hugely expensive project, really large, high capital project. It's in their sweet spot, I think, in terms of investing and potentially producing concentrate, which is really what their interest is. They see, and we see, the potential to focus the project on the highest grade part of the resource that we looked at in the PEA, the prior resource and the PEA, most recent PEA. We still looked at two deposits. We looked at the central zone, which is a higher copper gold grade, and then an adjacent zone, which is significantly lower grade. I think what we will do, well, I know what we will do in the PFS is focus our effort and look at the highest grade central zone, where we, as we've looked harder at the drilling data, see potential there's open edges for the resource shell, potential mining area. So there's room to expand at higher grade resource. There's room to deepen a hole, for instance, from 2016 that we ended in good grade mineralization, a potential fault and offset of that high grade domain. And then there's great scope to make further test a target to the north, about half a kilometer to the north of the central zone, for more of that high grade. So it's more than an optionality play. There's an opportunity there. POSCO Daewoo believes, and we firmly believe, to find more of that good high grade that's the economic driver for the project.
So you said two things there. One, they're going to look closer and harder at the existing deposit itself, but then they're also going to look at expansion potential. And the first part sounds like it's an illustration of that line that mines are made, not found. But at the same time, you're looking at finding more to the southeast. So first, tell us what is at that bottom of the hole. In 2016, when that hole was drilled and you had to stop because of the limitations of the budget, everybody got very excited. There were rumors on stock forums about high grade and so on. Based on the geological context, what do you think could be happening there at the bottom of this deposit in the southeast direction?
Right. Well, actually, that particular hole, John, was in the northwest corner, but it's open to the southeast, certainly, and we will put some holes in that direction. The hole that we ended in mineralization actually was in the northwest corner of the deposit. And what we saw there was And we did. We reached really the limit of the drill, the limit of the budget, and the end of that, the logical end of that program in 2016. We saw a very strong trend of increasing grade to the bottom of the hole. So the last 55 or 56 meters of that hole ran 0.26 copper, 0.3 grams gold. And we see we got 3 mineralized intercepts in that hole, and each subsequent intercept we see higher and higher grade. And we're just in the bottom of that hole drilling into what's called this monzonite intrusive that hosts the highest grade. So we think there's room there to extend that hole for another 300 or 400 meters. And it looks geologically like we're just at the top of this potential high-grade shell that's probably been downdropped by a fault on the northwest edge of the known deposit that we've scoped in the PEA. We drill that hole and show there's a downdrop block there. We've opened the thing right up, really, in terms of expansion potential. So that's the first hole that I'm going to recommend be drilled in this year's upcoming program.
Yeah, and since this is largely an underground block caving operation, it doesn't matter that you're going 400 meters deeper, because it simply extends the mine life or justifies increasing of the scale of production. Do I get that right?
Well, that's precisely it. And I mean, this would be below the current level that we envisage for development, but we're envisaging an underground development anyway. So it would be a reasonable incremental cost to go after that additional mineralized material.
Now, the target to the north it has a big IP anomaly. IP anomalies represent sulfides, though of course they're usually most intense when it is pyrite. You did drill a hole in 2016, which gave you geological context for it. It didn't hit the discovery hole. You mentioned that you're going to revisit that as part of this year's program. In terms of the footprint that you're targeting there with the anomaly, if there's something there that's mineralized with copper and gold very similar to the central zone itself, how does it compare in size implications to what you already have?
Right. Well, it's a very large target. This target's about half a kilometer, 500-600 meters north of the central zone as we know it. What encouraged us there was a long run of intense quartz-sericite pyrite alteration with just over a tenth of a gram gold, some anomalous elevated copper, and about 0.1 grams gold over 245 meters. That's telling us we're close to a system. That's largely developed in andesitic host rocks. We do see some dike rocks again of this monzonite. We think there's room for a target that's easily scale of what we see at the central zone. So, something on the order of 50, 80, 100 million tons, perhaps more. There's a big target there that could, with one hole, open up a brand new center for additional resource expansion.
That would sure vindicate Posco Dawo's decision to go in there for 35%.
It would indeed. It would indeed.
Now, a couple of weeks ago, you reported results from 3 holes you drilled last fall in the UDS project, which is adjoins the Chemist project, which is now owned by Centerra.
Yes.
Stockwatch published a headline saying Serengeti reports no significant assays. And I went back to the original news release, and the headline said, whatever, Serengeti intersects significant sulfides.
Right.
And when one reads the news release itself, yes, there is no ore grade copper gold mineralization there, but the public reading this, should they listen to Stockwatch's message, which is this is a dud, walk away, don't flush your hopes down the toilet? Or were you saying something different when you said sulfides, which is iron, pyrite, which intrinsically are not significant, are, however, significant as an outcome of this scout drilling program in a big IP anomaly that has never been tested before.
Well, that's right. I mean, I can't speak for Stockwatch. They often have fun with headlines. I think my headline is closer to what we firmly believe, that there's tremendous scope on that UDS property. What really excites us was, I mean, we did a very wide-spaced reconnaissance IP program back in 2016, drilled 3 scout holes this year, and stepped into a geological domain which has got all the right rocks. It's got those monzonitic rocks, again, that are so key in these alkaline copper gold systems. We've identified, in fact, in that intrusive, we do have some, there's some 1 gram gold, a couple of intervals of you know, kind of gram gold, but over narrow intervals. I think what's really significant about the drill program are 2 holes that we drilled adjacent to that intrusive that encountered absolutely intense QSP, or quartz sericite pyrite alteration, in rocks which are identical, really, spit and image for the rocks that are immediately above the Kemess Underground and Kemess East deposits. So we've got a geological context that's spit and image for 2 of the deposits, and spit and image for the hanging wall rock. So in retrospect, it's easy to see these things with 20/20 hindsight. We should have drilled the 2 of those holes deeper, and the 1 hole where we encountered this QSP alteration, it was right from surface. So there's a potential there and it was drilled in a shallow incline hole. Go back to that site, drill a vertical hole, extend it, well, perhaps to 300 meters, and we could be stepping into a copper gold system. Our geophysical coverage shows that this anomaly is totally open-edged. I think that investing public should believe my headline, not Stockwatch's. I'm really excited by that target.
Now, you believe this is an offset portion of the Kemess South deposit, which has been mined out. Based on the size of the anomaly and your property boundaries and what you have sliced with the drill holes, and now you know, well, we know where it is not. We have an understanding of the geological context and the typical model of this type of porphyry system. How much of a tonnage footprint is left for you to assess and possibly find the ore grade copper gold mineralization in that target?
Right. Well, these systems, these alkaline porphyry systems, have small footprints. They have small footprints in a horizontal sense, but tremendous vertical extent. So that you know, in an area, a typical horizontal slice through one of these would be, you know, 200 by 300, or a really big one would be 300 by 400. But some of these systems go to a kilometer, more than a kilometer depth extent, for instance. So it doesn't take a big area at surface, once you get into the center of them, to build tonnage. Do we have a standalone target there, or something that would put us clearly in the sights of Centerra Gold in the future?
So at a minimum there, you could find enough tonnage to have Centerra do a deal to acquire it and add it as part of its infrastructure there. You don't have to find a standalone monster there.
Well, that's quite right. And I mean, if you look at the whole Serengeti story, of course, we've de-risked. We've not only got these great exploration bets, we've got another one down near Mount Milligan mine as well. But it's de-risking it with this project being advanced de-risked by a partner through PFS. I mean, that's the potential for a mid-tier copper gold producer that's potentially filling their pipeline in the future.
I've been talking with Dave Moore, CEO of Serengeti Resources in Vancouver at the Metals Investor Forum. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome.